They say that one of the greatest relationships that you're ever going to cultivate is the one that you have with yourself. But how do you ensure that you don't cross over that very fine line between self-care and selfishness? Welcome to another episode of Women Talk, where we talk to women from all walks of life about the things that matter to them. My name is Zoraya.
Hi everyone, and I'm Deborah. You know, the pandemic actually propelled the mental health agenda, right?
Yes.
It got a lot of people not only thinking about, but talking about and acting on issues that matter to them. What does it mean to take care of myself? What does it mean to give myself a little bit of self-love, right?
Yeah, especially in our generation, there is such a big emphasis on self-love, taking care of yourself, put yourself first, you come before everything else. But there is that really fine line between when is it too much, when it becomes too egoistical, or you focus too much on the individual instead of actually being selfless. There has to be a bit of a balance, right?
Exactly. And so we have two lovely ladies joining us today. Nandini, Balakrishnan, you are the lead video producer and talent at Says Media, and of course, award recipient, Women of the Future Awards, Southeast Asia 2021.
Yay, I'm sure you've seen her all over social media. Such a famous face over here.
And thank you for having me.
And Yasmin, Hani, actress, actor, actress, and host. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Lady who wears many hats.
Yeah, and a mother.
And a mom of two.
That's an important role.
Yeah.
Yes,
an important job.
But so how do you manage? I mean, we were talking before the show started, what it means to wear many different hats. And you end up balancing, you end up juggling and trying to find a rhythm. So what is self-care and self-love? What has your journey been like?
Slowly. Like when we were young, we learned how to crawl and walk and all that, right? And run and such. So when I was single, I take care of myself differently. When I am a wife, I take care of myself differently. When I'm a mom of one child, it's different. And two kids, it's different, and so on. You know, it's endless. So I shift slowly.
Nandini, I mean, you are such an outspoken voice, and especially as a woman. What is your self-care routine, and how do you balance your life and all the work that you do? And
because you're often telling people, right, how to take care of themselves. Now we want to know how you take care of yourself.
We're asking you. What do you do?
It's easier said than done, right? I think that's one of the main things you realize about self-care and self-love is that it's so easy to go to someone that you love, that you see from your lens, and tell them, hey, you should love yourself, you should care for yourself, because we can see them, we love them, and we can say that. But when it comes to doing it for yourself, I think that is the hardest thing to do, to establish that you matter as well. I mean, of course, not going to a point where you completely ignore everybody else around you, but getting to that point, I think that journey, that sort of the terrain and everything is very rough.
And I think that also is something to be said about, to love yourself. You have to be acting in a way that you love yourself. I think there has to be a certain responsibility that we also put on ourselves to do good things, behave in a kind way, be forgiving, be kind, and do good actions, because when you have a good opinion of yourself, that's where self-love really begins.
At this stage in your life, what does caring for yourself look like?
I think caring for myself at this stage in life, it has a lot to do with self-awareness, right? And like self-accountability. And I think that the one thing that I do day in, day out that makes me feel better about myself is constantly checking myself, constantly, taking a pause every night before I go to sleep and be like, how was I today? Was I okay? And if I wasn't like, my best self, and of knowing like why I wasn't, and then of course, doing things that are a little better. Every day you try and be a little better, right? But I think a lot of, I've also noticed a lot of my friends being a little bit more health conscious, which I think is amazing, because I used to feel like, oh, you don't have to take care of your health. But as
then you get older.
As you age, like I should have listened to my sister. She was like, the 30s will hit you, And then now I'm like, oh wait, they're right, right? And then that comes down to like, taking care of yourself better by, if it means working out, great. If it means taking more walks, wonderful. And then of course, I know that some people consume like like little things, right? On top of consuming, drinking a lot of water, eating the right things, or trying to, you know, they also consume multivitamins and supplements to keep them as energetic as possible, because you want to be your best self, right?
So important, yeah. Oh, I love multivitamins. They just give you that boost. So actually, like, to cultivate self-love, I think a big part of that also has to do with behaving well.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
How you're behaving. And then because if you don't give love the way you want others to give you, like you said, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and then become selfish and all that, you know you're becoming egoistic is when you not giving anything and you expect something else, but you're not getting it. So you know you're going overboard.
Well, that's a word of expectations, right? Because then you're expecting, this is how I see myself, this is how I expect to be treated, and then you look at the world in a very different light. You're expecting everybody else to treat you or engage with you in a very certain way, right?
Yeah.
And that can lead to, and then that leads to all these expectations, disappointments, and whatnot. So it's a vicious cycle.
They're not going to get it back. They're not going to get it back. That's it.
I think that's also a very negative way of looking at, like, that's a very entitled way of looking at the world, right? So I think it's fair. I think as humans, everybody comes with like a set of expectations, right? You also want to get what you give, right? But then that's also pretty unfair to expect the rest of the world to treat you like exactly how you want it. And also, I guess, comes down to communicating how you want to be cared for and loved and so on and so forth. But I guess the first step to all of that is, of course, recognizing, knowing yourself well enough, and then to get there.
What do self-reflections look like? You know, when you go through something difficult, when something unpleasant happens, and you take a moment to ask yourself certain questions. What is that process for you?
Well, for me, especially with the kids, I mean, with friends, surprisingly, you don't flip. You hardly do that, right? And because you don't spend enough time with them to be in that situation. So with kids, when they don't really listen to you, or when they're throwing tantrums, things don't go well, when enough occasions like that, when I go, oh, crazy, and I go, wait, I'm not feeling me right now. This is not me. This is not how I want people to see me. And I don't like this me right now. So what's going on? Where is the old me? What triggered this? And what do I do the next time this happens? So sometimes I Google up how to deal with children, how to speak to them, so that in a way that I understand why they're like this, and then I know the right words to say to them so that they can respond to me the way I want it.
Yeah.
And also lower down my expectations because they're kids.
I mean, it's exactly what you were saying just now. It's like self-awareness and understanding that you have to look at yourself from almost like a third party and go, oh, the way you're behaving, that's not great. But we'll come to Nandini's answer when we come back from the break in just a second.
Welcome back to Women Talk. Before we went to the break, we were talking about self-care and self-love coming from a place of consciousness, from introspection. And that means you're more empathetic, you're more open. You're, as much as you are thinking about yourself, you're also giving. But then there are a lot of people nowadays, and we see this all on social media, where self-love kind of means me, myself, and I'm a little bit selfish. I'm, as you said earlier, intolerant. And I really don't care what anyone else thinks or what anyone else needs. It's all about me.
So they also say this thing, which is to love someone else, you have to first love yourself. You have to put yourself first. Do you think it's selfish to say something like that? You have to put yourself first?
Let's try this. Can you name me 3 people you love the most?
Oh gosh, yeah, I can. I mean, my mom, my dad, and then my siblings. They come in one category.
All right, where do you fall in this list? I didn't hear you mention yourself.
I mean, I love myself, I guess.
Exactly.
I didn't feel she needed to say it.
There you go. Deborah, do you wanna take this?
Okay, so learning from her.
Yeah, who are 3 people you
me,
love?
myself, and I.
I love that. You win.
Great, you win.
Yeah, but I think that's what I'm saying, right? Loving yourself doesn't mean that you don't love other people around you and care for them. I think that is the balance that we learn how to strike every single day, right? And that just means that you gotta be able to put yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have, right? So if you want to give love, then you have to have love.
So it's kind of like when you're in an airplane and then they say you have to put the mask on yourself first before you put the mask on anybody else, right?
Yeah. So, in collaboration with Proviton Multivitamins, on hashtag Love You More, self-love and self-care is like it should be given the utmost importance. Always definitely put yourself first, put that mask on yourself, take care of yourself, nourish yourself, so you can nourish everybody else.
Spread the love, exactly. And through that, you actually learn a sense of patience, sense of tolerance, and that also breeds self-love. I think really behaving in a good way.
Nandini, what does that mean for you, being kind to yourself first?
First and foremost, for me, it means that you hold yourself accountable to your actions, right? Because I think, yes, kindness, and then of course, knowing that as humans, we tend to make mistakes. There will be missteps along the way. So long you learn from it and then do better, I think you become a better person, and then it just becomes easier to love yourself, right? Knowing that you're someone who's striving to be kind. I mean, no one can be like completely 100 emoji like all year round, right? But then you can always like check yourself and then make sure that how you respond to others, doesn't harm or hurt anybody. I think so much of like self-love for me comes from that accountability. Like how are you carrying yourself, and what are some of the things you say, and so on and so forth.
So great.
Self-check.
Self-check,
So if you're going through a moment or you're not really in the best place, what do you do for a quick pick-me-up?
I eat donuts.
Yes. Great answer, girl.
I eat donuts. I love playing badminton. I have a really, really wonderful group of friends who, sometimes some people you meet, they immediately lift you.
Absolutely.
And it's so important to have that community, that tribe in your life. I think health also, of course, extends to what we consume, right? What we put into our body. And I know there's a lot of, there are a lot of conversations surrounding it, the health fad and the diet industry and all that, and that can be damaging. But I think there are a lot of sort of less harmful things that you can do to, sort of slowly get into the habit of caring for yourself more.
And I mean, Hani,
and also have support system. That is very important. I have support system.
You've just gone through as well quite like a tumultuous moment in your life as well. So how do you deal with that?
Lots. What depends. I talk, I share. So I hang out with people. I ask for opinion. I Google. I do research. How do I, do this and do that according to whatever state I am in. Right. I cry and I cry, and I pat myself. I love myself. I care for myself like a mom carrying a child. So I said, you know what? You care for a lot of other people, but you forgot to care about yourself. So you touch other people gently, but you don't touch yourself gently. You don't pat yourself. So there was one point I was just in the car driving to Publica, and I was like, doing that, it's okay, honey, it's okay, everything's... Do you know what? You really focus on that and talking like, on a third person. I cried like a baby in the car. And then after that, I feel loved after that. You go, hey, you know what? You have love in you. But you don't give it to yourself. So that's when I pour it back to myself. Not like, oh, you should treat me like this. Get me this, get me that. I want this, I want that. So that I can feel okay. But no, I gotta fix myself because it's all in here. It's all in here. So this is what I want to pass on to my kids as well. So if I can't do that, if I can't be the right example, how are they going to survive without me later on?
So sometimes it's about breaking the cycle. It's about starting new habits. It's about, being conscious and aware to be able to go, when things are great, let's keep them. When things are not great, let's improve them. And that's the greatest gift I think we can pass down to our children and friends. But we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we're going to ask these ladies for tips and tricks that they use in their daily lives to help make them feel more loved.
Hi guys, so I'm out here on this sunny, beautiful day to find out if Malaysian women love themselves. I want to know everything there is to know about self-love. So let's go get some answers.
Hi, can I get your name?
I'm Azlina.
So my question is, can you name 3 people you love?
My husband and my twins.
My mom, my dad, my siblings.
Both my parents and my husband. My mom, definitely. My husband and my sister. Well, I do love myself, but maybe I come right after that.
Maybe because I tend to put other people before myself first.
Like now, I'm
this is my me time.
Oh, we're encroaching on your me time. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Spa.
I go for massages.
Like getting my nails done,
Yeah.
or getting a haircut or a hair wash,
Yes.
just like grooming
So
myself.
I hope this video is a reminder to constantly put yourself in the list.
Okay. Yes.
You are as important as the people who love you.
We all need to love ourselves
You
first.
cannot pour from an empty cup. We just want to remind all the women around us to love ourselves more, because you know we tend to forget, right? So take this as a sign to love you more. Until next time, goodbye. I want to go now. Today very hot. I want to shower. Bye bye.
Welcome back to Women Talk, where we are speaking about self-love, self-care. How do you take care of yourself, and how do you find that balance between being too selfish and actually looking after yourself? So I want to ask you, Deborah, what do you do to cultivate self-care for yourself?
For me, it's always been exercise and just being active. Since I was a little girl, I used to be really active in school, and as I've gotten older, through all the different changes in life and careers and whatnot, it's always being, whether it's running on a treadmill, playing tennis, horse riding, whatever it is, yoga, Pilates. Yeah, that's what works for me. And it generates, I mean, we can't deny the biology, physiology of our bodies, the hormones that are generated, the feel-good factors, right? That really, it makes you feel good.
But one thing I love about fitness is actually the discipline that it's taught me.
Before it was that, but then I always have that problem, that discipline problem, because I don't like going to the gym. I'm an outdoor person.
Okay.
I like the jungle, the river, the climb, this and that, and everything, you know, everything. And so now I've made it simple. Is a walk under the sun. I love it in the morning. And also go to the jungle, go back to the nature, and also art.
Do you do that every day?
I must go out every day because I send the kids and I'm exposed under the sun. And sometimes I create an opportunity with my friends, have coffee, walk first and then have coffee, have breakfast. Or I go to the park and, or art. I paint or doing crafts.
I feel like when you say that, it's in the little things. Sometimes we're expecting all these, I've got to go and attend this course and a marathon and climb the mountain, but it's the little things every single day.
You don't beat yourself up if you don't, you know, if you don't achieve it, because it's so easy. It's so easy, and you go happy. You go, hey, let's go for a walk, and you brighten up. You go like that. If you say, hey, let's go to the gym, I go, okay lah, let's go lah. I know it's good for me, but I gotta go lah. Okay lah, you know.
You're like half an hour just to mind prep.
Yeah, but that messes up your mindset as well when you're like unhappy about it.
People see me, oh, but you always go to the gym. I force myself.
I'm not doing it willingly. What about you, Nandini? And like when you do practice self-care, like how does that change you?
I think for me, like, so what happened was earlier this year, right? We were still sort of pretty much staying home and like trying to say, you know, keep everybody safe and ourselves safe. So me and my friends, we started playing badminton every single day without fail. So every day, no matter what, we're all working from home at 6 p.m. We would know to meet at the badminton court and would do that day in, day out, right? So when I started, I wasn't very good at it because I hadn't played it so, no, I hadn't played it forever. And then it became like a thing, and that was such a great serotonin, that's a hard word for me, serotonin boost. And then, you know, that became a thing, and I kind of, again, disciplined, so I haven't played in a few months. But I think that, you know, obviously, like, you know, going out, and I totally understand that the physical element that you cannot deny. But I guess it's down to finding that one thing that's, yes, achievable, and also brings you joy. And then there's, of course, you know, people consuming, like, sort of supplements and all that. You know, I think, like, also sort of undeniable, and of course, you know, you can consult your dietitian or your nutrition and then your doctors and see what's good for you. And that brings me to Perfecton right here, which is a multivitamin that contains Panax ginseng, and it's supposed to be really good for you. It's supposed to keep you energetic. I think, especially as women, one of the things, especially as women who wear many hats, right? One thing that you need throughout the day is to keep yourself, like, sort of, you know, the energy has to be there, right?
I think, to your point, it's so important to be able to sometimes recognize that it's not just about then, like, meditating or playing sports or being active, you've actually got to look internal, look inside and see how you can help your body. Like you were saying, you do oils, your hormone oils, right? To help, to really just help you.
I mean, like I said,
stay sane. Stay sane.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, one of the greatest relationships that you're ever going to cultivate is the one that you have with yourself and the one that you have with your body. Because there might be a lot of advice out there about how to take care of your mental health, how to take care of your body, how to do this and that. But your body is going to be completely unique to anyone else's, and you just have to listen to it. Form that relationship, and you will thank yourself later on.
And ultimately, you can't give, I believe this, you can't give from an empty cup.
Yes,
you
that's
know,
right.
If you feed yourself in a loving, compassionate way, also knowing when to offer some tough love, you're able to give so much more to people, your family, your friends, and everyone out there. We need a lot more compassion and love in this world.
We definitely do.
Thank you so much, ladies, for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. It was such a lovely discussion.
Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to our audience for joining us for another episode. We'll see you again next week. Until then, take care. Bye.